Hello, my name is Bobrello. Today we're gonna build a tanking deck uh, with selection of weapons as blade and hammer. I'm gonna quickly talk you through my gear and selection of the stats I've chosen as a tank. Right, so my head talisman is for health with hit rating, right? Um, I also have hit rating in weapons that altogether gives you over 600 um, hit rating on nightmare stages. Plus I've got Signet of Kingdom, it's called. It's for hit rating as well, builds up, right? Stacks up to 20 times. I think 6 hit rating per stack, so you've got 120 hit rating for that. Yeah, and if you've got your gear up to 10.4, you're gonna have around about more than 720 hit rating, which is more than enough to tank nightmares, right? Before you get to the nightmares or elites, you don't even need to have any hit rating, so just stack it with your tanking signets, such as block or defense rating, right? Um, I wouldn't recommend you to have evade and to build up an evade rating as for tanking instances. Um, it's okay for PvP, but in instances you want to have as much block rating as you can, even up to 800, and as much as defense rating as you can as well. But uh, in some dungeons you need more block rating, in some dungeons you need more defense rating, so um, you can have it, equally placed up through all your gear, or you can, put some more block instead of defense. It's, optional as well. So what I did, so basically my head talisman is for HP, and all my minor talismans is for HP as well. As I said, in here I've got hit rating, but before you get to the nightmares, just stuff it with block rating or defense rating. That will do. So what I've got here on my minor health talismans, I've got all defense rating signets, right? And on my major talismans, I've got attack rating, all of them. As you can see, I've got 9.5k of HP with not finished gear, so you're gonna get up to over 10, and that's enough to tank pretty much anything, except I would say some raids maybe, but then you can add it with consumer, so that's not a problem. And having all major talismans for attack, it gives you quite a lot of that, aggro capability, and you're helping your party a lot. If you instead of having HP, which you don't use, you have an attack, you actually help killing, make some DPS in the party. Well, that setup works out for me, I would say, well. I'm not struggling with HP, nor party is always happy with my DPS, and I'm gonna show you my stats in a minute. Even so, my major talismans is not upgraded yet. I already have 1.5k of attack rating, decent for the tank, right? And I've got 720 block rating, it's not finished as well, and 631 defense rating, it's not finished as well, because one of my minor talismans is still on flat 10, and basically my gear is not finished yet, but with them stats what I've got now, you can easily tank through the nightmares, most of the nightmares anyway. So that's it. Let's get to the actual deck building with blades and hammers. Right, so what you need to keep in mind, well, my preference anyway, um, as a main builders and consumers, tank builders and consumers, I've got AoE skills because I've tried with single target skills couple rounds and it doesn't work out for me. I don't know, maybe some people do. I normally use AoE skills with hate, with some additional aggro, but whatever you do in a tank deck building, you go to misc and you put agitator on. That's straight away, that's the first skill in a tank building deck. I don't think you can even, tank without it. Probably not, but some mutants, as I call them, with 10.5 gear probably can tank without it, but we just build it and order in tank, nothing special. Yeah, with them two choices of the weapons, blades and hammers. So my choice of builder is in blades. It's called blade torrent. It's multi-skill because it's AoE with the perfect storm on. It's actually the afflictor afflicts the target, which is good. Many skills procs off if the target is afflicted. So basically, what you want to do for the party as as a support to support the party, you might want to keep that. I usually do. So that blade torrent is actually frenzy as well. So there's quite a few skills you can proc off with frenzy, but I'm not using the frenzy in my build. Not in this tanking build, but like it's easy to swap to another build. Say if you go solo or PvP, you can proc a lot of skills from frenzy. Let's say just put in frenzy in here. Sorry, frenzy. Yeah, and as you can see, there is healing. There is hit rating. There is a leeching. There is evade rating. There's loads of very tasty procs from that frenzy. So it's a good skill to have as a main one if you're using the blades main builder. Right? I'm obviously gonna stack the perfect storm because I like helping my party and put some effects on mobs and the bosses. Right? So we've got a builder. Now what we're gonna need is a consumer on one of each. My choice of a consumer on the blades is a steel palace, which is right in here. It's AoE, as I said. It doesn't. I don't think it generates any aggro, but I'll show you how I use it to generate aggro using another skill as well. But that will eventually generate some aggro. So it's AoE. It's frenzy as well. Decent attack, right? And what it is, if the any target are afflicted, yeah, which you hit, you get a minor ward effect which reduces all damage by 7.5 for 8 seconds. So basically, we're afflicting with targets with that, and they're all the time afflicted because I've got a builder. So basically, every time we use that skill, we put in minor ward effects, which reducing all damage received, which is good. Right. Um, the second consumer is from hammers. There is the choice of quite a few. Let's say, let's put consumes, yeah, and put hammer on. You've got quite a few, but as I said, I like it to be AoE, so most of them are single target, and the ones what are AoE, they normally affects enemies in front of you, and I find it quite disturbing sometimes to think where to point yourself to afflict as many targets as you can. And you know, sometimes when you tank, and especially in nightmares, you need to move a lot, and what you really want to have is just um, affects the five enemies in a 5 meter radius around you, so you don't need to worry which way you are um, pointed pointing at the moment. So there is one skill, and I think it's called Razor Shards. It doesn't give you a lot of bonuses, but one of the bonuses you get is the next skill after this is let me show you. Okay, Razor Shards. What it does, grants hate increasing effect for a next attack, which this effect scales based on the amount of resources consumed, right? So basically, if you're consuming 5 resources and using the Steel Palace straight after this, on a Steel Palace, you with 5 resources, you're gonna have 722 physical damage. So basically, multiply it by 5 because you consumed it 5 resources in here. You're gonna have like 3k of damage, aggro damage, not the actual damage, but the aggro damage, what keeps to keep all mobs on yourself, right? So that's my basic consumer, 2 consumers and builder. That's the main thing what I've got. Let's jump on to passives. Apart from afflicting targets, I like to have such a thing. It's called exposed effect. Expose, it's not in the hammer, so click all. You can put it on with quite a few skills. Right. Whenever you glance, evades, or block, your attacker becomes weakened by a single stack of exposed effect. There's one option. So basically, if you attack, you anyway you're blocking a lot, but you're evading a lot, and you're putting that finger on. But I want to be certain, so I'll use this one. Anytime you hit with Kara's Blade or Hammer ability, which is tanking abilities anyway, and all of the abilities I have are these, so you know, any hit I do, anything I do put expose effects on the mobs, and that gives you increase all the damage what you do and all the party members will do to the mob, feel 3% per stack, and it stacks up to 10. It takes absolutely no time to build it up for 10 stacks, and that's 30% more damage you and your party does to the mobs, right? So that's one of the things what I'm gonna have. So these 2 things are for party, basically afflicted. If you put an afflict effect, there are loads of skills for do extra procs for afflicted targets, so that's a good thing to have. That's a good thing to have for the party as a support. And there is another one thing what I normally put for myself is debilitated effect, I think it's called. So let's put double, and there you are. There's quite a few ways to put it. on the mobs as well. What it does is reduce all the damage dealt by 3% by the mob. So basically, if you stack it up to 10 times, they're gonna deal 30% less damage onto you or anyone else. So that's a good thing to have as a tank. You can proc it off critical hit. You can proc it off the smash. I think smash is a builder for the hammers, but it's single target, so I don't use it. Right, and there is a consumer with blast ability. Basically, if you type in blast in here, you're gonna find quite a few blast consumers in hammers. So you can use, instead of this, you can use some blast abilities. But as I said, there's some AoE as well, but they are frontal AoE, not around you. So I don't like it, and I normally use there's quite a few. You can get it off of the penetration. You can get it off. Now that's shotgun, and you can get it off strike, but that's not in. You don't have strikes in tank and bullets. So it's basically you can get it off penetration, crits, off the smash, and off blast abilities. I normally choose crit along with skill called elemental force. That's in elementalism. Um, Straight, it takes no AP to actually few AP to open it, so it's accessible. Um, Basically what it does, every time you hit, you build in a counter, and when it reaches 7, your attack is critting. So every 7th attack you're definitely gonna crit. So every 7th attack you're gonna apply Jubilate, and you sometimes crit without this skill. You just normally crit on someone, and it also applies it, but that increase it with another aggro skill, which called, come on, that's some bug in here, I can't open it, but okay, let's come back to it. I've seen it here. Right, that's a stone's throw. That's a single target hate generating skill. What it does, it actually puts 2 stacks of debilitated effect every time you use it. Yeah, so I normally use it as single target aggro skill in addition to these. Right, instead of this, if you're struggling, let's say if you would use not the aggro's increasing skill over here, let's say you're gonna have a blast skill or some other skill, and you might struggle with keeping aggro. So I would suggest to have Crimson Theatre instead of that. I'm talking about mass aggro for keeping, ads occupied and everything. What it does, it puts, I'll show you in a minute, it puts like area, right, and any mobs or ads are gonna stay in this area, gonna generate additional aggro against you, so they're gonna stay right on you. But I'm quite confident with my aggro, probably because of my attack as well, because your aggro multiplies from your attack. So basically, if you've got agitate at 300% rate, but it still multiplies out of your attack rating. So if you've got your attack quite high, you're never going to struggle with any aggro at all. So that's that for keeping aggro and building and consuming, and being actually supportive to the to your party. Right, then there is another skill which sometimes have, which can't be bad, right? The one is putting protection effects. Protection effect is typing in search. There's quite a few ways to get it as well, but I normally get it off. This one is in the shotguns, right over here. What it does, whenever you apply a weekend, and I do apply a weekend with 2 skills, right? That applies the weekend, and this applies the weekend. So basically, every time I proc that or that, I'm gonna put a physical and magic protection 30 per stack, and it stacks up to 5, so it's another extra 150 magical and physical protection, which is quite, good for a tank. I don't go crazy, getting more DPS or anything. In the end of the day, you're a tank and you have to be, like a shit brick, impenetrable. Right, and the last skill in here, you not always will have the ability to have it on the nightmares, but before the nightmares, I don't see why you shouldn't use it. Basically, if you um, have more defense rating, you're gonna use it of fluid defense. So basically, every time you glance, you get major ward effect, which reduces all the damage dealt by 25% for 6 seconds, right? And there's another additional, whenever you penetrate, you get a beneficial effect, increase all damage dealt by 8%, which is like, it's good, good. We're not so much looking after this as after this, and there is exactly the same one, but just proccing of the blocks, right? And it actually activates that second effect of the crit instead of penetration in here. And as I crit sometimes with that skill, and I do crit sometimes without it, so I'd rather have this, and that's more sense to me. With my build, I've got more block, right? And that's about the full tanking set we're gonna need. Right, if you are the beginner, you haven't even got to the nightmare instances, you just doing your normal dungeons or elite dungeons, I would suggest you to have statism. What it does, it basically defense skills, right? I'm gonna put them on. One is from the misc, right? Elite one. One is from blades, normal one, and one is from the hammers. All these skills are your protection. So basically, when you feel like you're getting hammered, or you're gonna start getting hammered in a minute, you should have something, to chase your survivability. In the blades, it is Martial Disciple. Yeah. It's right in the start of blades, right? So it takes only a few apps to open it. And what it does, it's increase chance attacks against you will glance for 50% for 6 seconds. So basically 6 seconds, every second skill will glance against you. And same with Stonewalled, which is in hammers, but it's not 50, but it's 40% of block chance increase for 6 seconds. And in the misc, that elite stoicism skill is quite beneficial, to be fair. It reduces all damage dealt by anyone to you by 30% for 10 seconds. And there is another beneficial effect which increases the hate rate against you for 500% for 10 seconds. So basically, if you like don't have a lot of attack rating, your gear is not so good, it's better have this. And when it gets ugly, just stick it in. Mob's gonna stay on you, ants gonna stay on you. You're gonna get along with agitate, you're gonna have 800% aggro off your normal attack. So basically, if you damaging abilities to 200 damage or like 500 damage, just multiply it by uh, 8. Yeah, so you know it does quite a lot of, puts quite a lot of aggro on, right? And don't forget 30% off the damage to you is quite a lot. And don't think about you getting 25% off with that effect. If you've got quite um, high block rating, you're gonna block a lot, and that's gonna be just staying constantly. Then you anyway consuming using that consumer every 8 seconds pretty much, or 10, so that's pretty much always on. So that's another 7.5 plus that's fair amount of damage reduced, right? So that's my tank set. For normal dungeons or even elite dungeons. For elite dungeons, I would swap some of these. Sorry, I can't do this. For the art of war, that is another interesting skill. It's elite, it's AoE, it does fair bit of damage, right? Affects obviously 5 enemies in 5 meters radius. What it does, it makes the target to attack you for 5 seconds. That's the first bonus. Then it impairs the target for 1 second. That's another bonus, right? And then for every affected target, you get a 2 glance counter. So basically, if you affected attack like 5 ads and use the skill, you're gonna build up like 10 glance counter. So next 10 attacks against you will glance. Basically, obviously, if you only use it on 1, you're only gonna have 2. But I'm trying to use that skill on as many enemies as you can. The maximum is 5 though, but that's impaired skill, which becomes important on some of the even on some elites dungeons, right? And definitely on nightmare dungeons. On some bosses, you're gonna need to have, so be prepared. You're gonna have 3 impairs on some bosses. I normally get away with 2, but on some bosses, even you just need 3 impairs. So you just take all of these off and just pray your healer is good, and just pray for your stats, obviously. Right, the first impair, right, apart from this, that's staying on. First impair is in the blades, called Trial by Swords. Except this one, all other impairs will be single target. I think there is another elite skill which gonna be in counters, but we're not interested in that, right? But it's still elite. I mean, elite can impair multiple targets, but the normal skills they won't. They just impair the single target. So that's the first one in the blade. And opposite, there is a hammer, beat down, single target again, impair again. Yeah. So that would be my set for the nightmares. Isn't actually. For some of the nightmare bosses we need 3, but that's my set for tanking nightmares most of the times. Yeah. So that's about my build. There could be many and I'd say many more differences in the build, but that's what I prefer. That's what I feel comfortable with, and you know, I don't struggle with it. Go smooth uh, with the stats I've got, which you've seen, right? So you know, if you like, try it, give it a go. Tell me how it went, and thank you. In my next couple of videos, I'm gonna upload how to tank actually nightmares, um, what to do on the bosses, what to impair, and stuff like that. So you know, keep tuned, and see you next time.